I'm throwing you off because you're used to there being a hymn there. But it's Star Gift Sunday, so we switched things up. So you could be seated. You can look up We Three Kings, because we're going to sing it after the message, but right now, a little out of order. For the first time ever, I could not find my star gift when I went to write this message. I have been participating in the tradition of Star Gift Sunday since 2006 and sharing it with our community here at the First Congregational Church since my very first Sunday in 2009. And this was my first star gift that had gone missing. I knew what it was, though: leadership on a yellow piece of paper. Turns out it was in my journal, wrapped in some papers about leadership. There is a longer story to why it was there and not on my bedroom mirror, where I can see it every day. The learning for me, though, is that even though I did not see my star gift every day, the word has stuck with me. I have been listening to God as I nurture my leadership and yours. I have been reading about leadership and praying about leadership and discovering new things about leadership, like the scripture passage that goes with my star word. In Luke 2, verses 24 through 27, Jesus says, "We, his followers, are called to be different. But not so with you. Rather, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader like one who serves." Jesus' interpretation of leadership is much different from the world's. Leaders are servants. Leaders take care of others. They share leadership. They create other leaders. And leaders are like the youngest. They are playful, creative, open, lifelong learners. It's a good reminder to me when the responsibilities of ministry become a lot, to not only serve, also to play, to be joyful, to become like the youngest. And so that is my sharing about my star. On the communion table and the platform are different colored stars, each with a word and a scripture passage on it. Only you and God will know which star gift word is meant for you, meant to guide you in 2026. If you choose a star and instantly know deep in your soul that this is not your word for 2026, put it back and choose another. Trust God's still speaking voice. Trust yourself to hear God's still speaking voice. At the same time, do not assume you should know immediately why you got this particular star gift. Listening to God takes time and intention. You may choose the right star gift word for you and still take the entire year to discover what God is saying to you. We have done this for enough years that if I asked for a raise of hands, there would be plenty of people who would be like, I spent the whole year. I still couldn't figure out, but I tried, but I listened. And that's what transforms star gifts from a word on an ordinary piece of copy paper into an instrument of God. It's what we do after today. Think about your star word. Pray about your star word. Let it lead you to ask, what does this mean for my life, God? How does this star gift lead me to spend my time, money, energy? How does this star gift lead me into a deeper relationship with you, Holy God? How does this star gift help me shine? Before we choose stars for 2026, I would like to invite those who chose stars last year to share a few words about how God guided them with their star gift. You can come up in front of the communion table to speak, or we can bring the microphone to you. I invite those who are online to share as well, and we will read your comments to the congregation. And I remind all of us that we are live streaming this service and that it will also be on YouTube, just in case that changes what you might want to share. floor and then got it, right? Oh. This is my child. I thought he was sharing, but he's like, no, I'm going to bring the mic around. But now you got to look at them. Hold on, let me turn myself back up. You got to look at them because they like to pick stars and then they don't like to talk about stars. So.
My star gift was excellence. And I think it was Philippians 4:8, that the scripture that it came from. So I didn't write a speech like some people, but I took it to mean to praise. And the difficult year that I went through, I only thought of the true and praiseworthy things that happened in my life, and that got me through a difficult time.
My word was ask. And at first I saw it and I said, what am I supposed to ask about? And then I read the scripture and I said, okay. It paraphrases John Kennedy's words, ask not what the church can do to me, but what I can do for the church. So I asked where I could help, where I could go, and I started asking people outside of church, how are you? How are you doing? Can I help you? And God spoke to me that way, and I'm thankful.
Hi. My star word was teaching. And most years I can relate to my star word through the year. Nope, this year, sat on my bureau and nope. But as I look back over the year, I thought, wow, God has taught me a lot about life this year. I've just learned so much. And part of the scripture passage with my star word was, lo, I am with you always. And that has just proven so true through this year of many changes.
I know you guys sit without me, so you don't have to talk. But take young legs. You can bring that microphone up to you.
Good morning. First of all, I want to say hello to Evelyn. We haven't seen her in a while, so glad you got a break from the bagel shop. Happy New Year. Our star gifts, or Jill and I had 3 stars, singing, heritage, and commitment, and 2 of those would kind of seem obvious, being in the choir for a number of years for singing and commitment, but they've moved around in the house from the desk to the refrigerator to our bureau, and I do think about them when we talk about different things, and it's been a challenging year for people that we know and people that we read about. So for those that are underprivileged or feeling oppressed or repressed in different ways, we think about them and try to take action, and certainly keep them in our prayers in a dutiful way. But the heritage part, it occurs to me this morning we were thinking about is that heritage for the commitment to the church comes a lot from my dad was a minister for a number of years, and through his children's education and museum and outdoor education years, there's a big push on childhood development and keeping the children foremost and keeping that next generation in mind. So I thought about that at the end of this year quite a bit, and I'm going to carry that forward in our new year as well. So it's not just for this year, some of these words, they kind of form a new foundation for things that we will push forward for in 2026.
Good morning, Happy New Year. I didn't have a star. Somehow I was not able to get one when I was here, really. But I did come up with one that I did for the entire year. And the word was hope. And I really began to feel and see the difference hope makes in everybody's lives, regardless of what we're doing. And the ones I was thinking of in particular, as an example, were the people over at Prudence Crandall who had gone through a lot of abuse, gone through things that many of us had never or never will experience, and yet there they were, still standing, thinking that they would never be able to make it, and yet they not only survived, but they inspired others to say, if I'm in this kind of predicament, or if I'm having a medical illness, or if somebody's very depressed, there is hope in being able to overcome it. And one's faith certainly has made a big difference for many of these people who really have inspired a lot of others and have shared their stories publicly. So I hope, no pun meant, but I hope that as we move forward, we never lose that. Our faith shows that we should not lose that, and if we practice that, that will make a big difference and change in our lives.
So I picked patient, which I hate that word, let me just say. And I have some situations going on in life, and I picked that, and I went, okay, I got it, because you've got it under control. But then I was drawn to another star, and it was wonderful. And when I read that, it meant that God created me, and he said I was wonderful. So that helped me deal with the patient, and I'm still working on that. So hopefully, anyway.
I picked the word wonder, and if I was still up front, I would have exchanged it. But I was in my seat, and I wondered what I was going to do with that. And then I thought, this must be a free license. I can go in my sewing room and wonder what happens if I mix these fabrics in this pattern, and just be very creative. And it was very exciting. It was like getting a free license. And then in the end of January, I was very sick. I thought I had the flu. And I wondered how I was going to get through this alone. And it was a terrible time. I had to get out. I called the doctor. She said, get to an urgent care. It was a snowstorm outside. My plowman wasn't coming for many hours, so I was out there with a shovel, and I wondered how I was going to do the driveway. And my wonder changed to something different. And a neighbor stopped by, drove up the street, saw me, stopped, jumped out, shoveled my driveway so I could get out to the doctor. People were bringing me soup. It was RSV. 6 weeks, so bad, I coughed and coughed. It was a terrible time for me. But this church was praying for me, and even though I could only get through 2 hours at any given time of sleep for weeks, Kristen texted me and said, we prayed for you. I says, oh my gosh, last night was the first night I slept through more than 2 hours, and I wondered why that happened. It was just a turbulent year, and my hopes and dreams of creating something wonderful, sewing, were put to rest because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything for 16 weeks. We're coming upon Easter, and a member of the church called and said, can I bring you Easter dinner? And I thought, how wonderful. I wonder how they knew. I was going to be alone with no food, and somebody was bringing me Easter dinner. I made it last 3 dinners. It was just almost time for my surgery to get the pinched nerve taken care of from all the RSV coughing, and then I finally, after 16 weeks, have recovered and thought, this is good. My wonder has changed, and I wondered how all these people knew that I needed 500 different kinds of chicken soup. Who knew? It was just a wonderful year, and I thought it was really good until the last 3 months, when I wondered how this church brought someone in my life who made me even more grateful for this year.
note to end on, right? Wonderful things that happen, that we are wonderfully made. I'm going to walk and talk to you.